We are live, and I am just getting set up so I can read comments for the people who come in. But hello, nobody's here yet, but it's going to be great. As promised, we are doing some beady things. So I don't know why I am struggling so much over here. I'm just trying to get my tablet set up and talk at the same time, which is apparently very difficult. Okay, let's see. I think we're cooking now, and we are here to just hang out and do some crafts on a Saturday night. And I don't know how this is going to be because I've had a lot of coffee and not a lot of food today. So, this is going to be fun. Well, that's not true. I had a hefty breakfast. I just didn't have lunch or dinner yet. So, we'll see how this goes. But I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good. And essentially, for those of you joining me, we are just going to use up some beads and make some bracelets. I have some of these older bargain bead boxes that I am trying to transition out because I have a big old bag of beads that need new homes. And then, I keep getting the bargain bead box. So, that also needs homes too. But yeah, we're just going to make some bracelets, I think. I've been getting really into making knotted bracelets. They're a lot of fun. They're pretty chill. So we're just going to do that. And see what we come up with. And you guys can maybe help me come up with some fun designs and ideas. Not that one. And we'll see what we get. Also, just testing out the notifications thing and stuff. If you guys do not have your notifications set to all, then you are definitely missing a lot of the things that I post. Because, from what I understand, people just aren't getting notifications, or they're getting notified days and days later when the live is over. And that's sad. Hey, Tony. Thanks for joining. There goes my tablet. How are you today? We're making some bracelets. So, I think I'm going to start with this synthetic aquaterra jasper and maybe match it up with some of this carnelian because it's got those red tones too. I only have 4 colors of knotting cord though. So I only have black, green, brown, or gray. So we got to figure out what color we want to use. That'll look the best with blue and red because I don't have that many colors. I'm just getting into it, so I just started collecting colors. They are tiny coffee cups, yes. I want to turn them into earrings at some point. I think they're really cute. They have these tiny little, like, resin and acrylic coffee cups. I want to pour a little bit of UV resin on the top to make the top of it a little bit more glossy because it's just a little printout that they stuck on top. But they're really cute. Little tiny coffee cups. They're super cute. Also, I saw that there's some check glass beads that are like coffee bean shaped, so I have to get those too, so that I can make a nice little set. But yeah, I've been stuffing beads into these little containers that didn't come with the actual box, as I've been like accumulating beads. So I've got like little leaf glass beads in here. I got a little tiny octopus. I've got these like resin cloud like little pieces that eventually got to get made into something. So yeah, I've been just trying to find some space and other ways to organize my beads. So I want to use up some of these beads so that I can stuff more stuff into these little boxes um, as I build it up. But yeah, we're gonna use these. Where's my spoon? I'll just get it out of here so I don't have to worry about knocking over the whole container because that's a very real possibility as well. And then maybe you could help me, Tony, pick a color thread to go with. I'm thinking the gray with the red and blue. I think will be the vibes. And these carnelian beads are really nice. I just haven't used them for anything. So we're going to use some of them today. I'm not going to use this many. I don't even need to empty this bin out. But I already started that process. So there we go. Yeah, I really do like those little coffee cups. I have to resist the urge to buy all the cutesy fun things that I see. because I don't have a plan for it. But I definitely did not resist buying a coffee cup. I love coffee, like, a lot. So I had to get the little coffee cups. I'm thinking the gray too. Yeah, I think you're right. So we're just going to start out by making sure that these are actually closed. Then we're going to get to it. Knotting is actually really easy. I have learned it just recently. I actually learned it watching Randy at Thunder Horse Descendant do it. So we're going to take a length that's about like from one outstretched arm to the center of your chest, so like half of a wingspan. This is usually a pretty good amount. Where are my scissors? Here we go. And then because I am paranoid, I just take a couple extra inches just in case, because I always feel like the one time I measure it will not be correct. And then you've got our little super glue, and I just need a little scrap of paper because we're just gonna seal off the ends. Just a little tiny drop. We're just gonna get it in there, and then we'll run it through a bit. And essentially it'll just seal off that end and make it a little bit easier to work with. Are you working on anything, Tony? Or are you just hanging out tonight? Ooh, hey, Mandy. I don't know if this is going to be motivational enough for a gym. It's just sort of a low-key hang out and craft with me sort of situation. This one is so funky. Currently just hanging out. That's fun. It's just been like a really interesting day. It's super windy here in Austin, and I don't know if you guys can hear it. It's pretty wild. It is it's been like just this and ambulances all day is what I've been listening to. Did I even do this right? I am all over the place trying to read and make knots at the same time. Well, I'm glad it's a good distraction. The project that you're working on is tiny little journals. I love tiny little journals. They're so fun. That is so cute. So, we're going to go around. Do I know how to make a knot? I do. I'm just doing it with my other hand, and that's why. I'm going to do twice. We're going to go all the way up to the jump ring and pull tight. Upcycling some gum containers, and the little tiny books are going to go. Oh, it's going to be so cute. I love that idea. I'm just going to keep doing that a couple more times. For some reason, this is called carouseling, and I don't get it. I guess because you're just going around and around a few times. But we're just starting the beginning of our bracelet. And I feel like I'm not getting good grip on this, so I'm just going to use a tool. So we're going to do that a couple of times just to get it started. And then when we're done, we'll trim up the end and seal it with some glue when we're done with the bracelet, just to keep the cord from slipping. Hey, Lori. Ooh. As I fray the entire cord. Very professional looking. Don't worry, we'll polish it off at the end. This is also my first time working with this particular cord. This is called Ceylon cord. It's from Beetlon. It's made specifically for this kind of stuff. I've been using this Not It cord Chinese knotting cord, which is like a nylon from the Beadsmith. That's what I've been using mostly, and it's a lot softer than this. I don't know what this is made of, like a silk or something maybe? It's a little bit rougher. But it is going to do the trick. I know that for sure. So, let's see. We'll just start going to town, right? We'll pop our bead on. Lori, I actually just finished filming our special video before I began this. So my house smells like burnt paper. And that's all I'm going to say about it. You guys usually have to wait till it goes live. It is hard to read and do this at the same time. I'm just realizing. But it's okay. We're going to get it. So you're going to make a loop. And then you're going to go through 1 time, 2 times, and then before you pull your loop tight, you're going to take your tweezers. You're going to go through the loop, and you're going to pinch where you want it to go. That's going to determine where your knot goes, and then you're just going to pull straight up. And if I did it correctly, it'll go straight onto the tweezers, and then you can work your tweezers out. I like to do it in stages just to make sure I don't have any slippage. And then you come back over the top with your tweezers and pull it tight. And then you push up on your bead a little bit just to give it to lock in the knot so it stays in that spot, but also it'll give like a little tiny gap so that your bead still has space to move and spin around and do stuff that's like natural so it doesn't cause any strain on the bead. And what do you guys think? Woo! Do I do like a line of the carnelian and then put like a bunch of these in the center? Because I feel like they're too big to go every other. Or do I do like maybe 3 and then 1 and then 3 and then 1? That's also an option. What do you think? 3. Okay, so 3 and then 1 I think is the winners. It's a good pattern. Good for repetition. And then I go completely silent, which makes a very engaging live. I don't really know what to talk about. I always try to think of some stuff I could like bring up and chat about, but I don't know anything to talk about for this one. I actually wasn't paying attention to the time today, so I was surprised that it was time to go live, and I had nothing. So I committed to the bit because I said I was going to try to do these more. So here we are. Maybe you guys can help me come up with some stuff to talk about because I don't know. I can tell you that I spent the better part of my morning and part of my afternoon talking about Nosferatu, which is my love, my favorite movie of last year for sure. And that consumed the better part of my day and probably where the majority of my brain cells went. Do I do anything special for halfway to Halloween? I bug other people about it and let everyone know that Halloween is coming soon. But like as a like person, no. My life is sort of spooky all year. My house is sort of spooky all year. So there's not really a lot that I do like in my day to day about like halfway to Halloween. And then I see other people doing like the halfway to Halloween stuff. And I always think like, oh, that'd be fun. And then I just don't do it. So unfortunately, I don't really do anything. I do plan on doing another challenge here soon. Um, so that'll happen. It'll be a halfway to Halloween thingy. Doing a handmade embellishment challenge from April 30th to May 7th. Oh, that's cool. Didn't I do a podcast? I did do, well, I can't say it's really a podcast. I think it was more about vampires than it was about Nosferatu in particular. I've just mentioned it, I think, every single podcast since. If you guys don't know, I have a podcast on my Patreon at the $5 tier, and I put out a couple episodes and I chat about stuff. All right, Lori, see you in a sec. But yeah, I've mentioned it quite a bit. I have not actually talked about Nosferatu at any length because part of it is that nobody I know has seen it, and if they have, they just go, "It's a good movie," and I'm like, "I know," but I have so many feelings, and I think that's why I was so excited for the conversation I had today because we got like really deep into details and themes and all sorts of stuff. So I was really just happy to have someone else to like yap about it with at length. So, I mean, I probably could go back and do a full podcast on it now that I've gotten like thoughts and feelings out into the universe. But I don't know. I could probably let it go, but I don't know. I really enjoyed that movie. Um, and I think it's kicked a movie out of my top 10, you know, for sure, because it is definitely in my top 10 of all time. Um, I will say the fun part about nodding is that it's very meditative. It's very chill. So I think it's kind of fun to do for these lives to just like chat and do something repetitious as I continue to punch my camera. But I'm excited to see your challenge, Tony. That's gonna be fun. Well, I gotta think about it, Paige. I really gotta think about it because now I gotta rerun my list and see which one is going to be the sacrificial lamb. Because while I can't say that it is my favorite movie of all time, it's definitely like top two or three, like for sure. Probably three. Yeah, and honestly, it's kind of funny because my favorite movie of all time is The Labyrinth. I love The Labyrinth with my entire soul. Um, and the director for Nosferatu is actually directing the sequel to The Labyrinth. So, like, while they were talking about pushing out a sequel to The Labyrinth, I was like, oh, this is going to suck. It's going to be horrible. But now I'm like, well, wait a minute. Because this director did such a good job with Nosferatu that, like, maybe there's a potential for it to be good. I don't think like you can replace the magic of the original for sure. Nothing is going to beat David Bowie as the Goblin King, but um, I'm a little bit less like busted by the idea now um, that the same director is doing the Labyrinth sequel. I will look for your video in April, Tony, for sure. Um, But you know what though? If I think about it, like really think about it, the Goonies may have lost the top 10 spot. They may have just slid right on out, which is a little bit sad. But Goonies never say die, so they can be 11. I think it's okay if they're 11. I know. It's such a good movie. And also, they did just say that they're doing the sequel to that too. Which, like, I know Sean Astin has been trying to get them to do the sequel since, like, literally the first one came out. Um, and then even like when he got into his like 20s, he wanted to do it. And then after the Lord of the Rings stuff, he was like, sequel to the Goonies, let's go. And they just could not get it like out of production hell. And so they shelved it and they kept shelving it. And so like now it seems like they're all systems go because of course Hollywood has decided that the only thing that sells is nostalgia bait and remakes and sequels and prequels. So that's what they're doing. So I'm happy for Sean Astin because he's such a sweetheart. That he's finally getting the sequel that he's been trying to get for like freaking 25 years. But I'm also very sad because it's just another one of those cash grabs that we've been getting a lot of, sadly and unfortunately. Yeah, the labyrinth is, well, it's classic. So much glitter, so much glam, so many things that make you question exactly what our parents were thinking. But I love it for what it is at the time that it was. But yeah, I think part of my top 10 is full of nostalgia bait, so I have to let one of those nostalgia guys go to make room for Nosferatu. This would be a cute way to make like a little tassel or charm, or like even like the closure for like a journal. It'd be cool to have like this little knotted bit on like a woodsy journal with some nice like woodsy beads and little charms and stuff hanging from it. I think that would be really cool. 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 Words are a little bit tricky today, I think. They're really hard. Mm, I don't know. I honestly, 2024 was kind of a rough year for movies. And then even just judging by like the Oscar picks and stuff, I was like, oh, we weren't doing too well last year for movies. But I was honestly just surprised what movies won and stuff like that. But like the way that like the Oscars and the Academy Awards, basically all the award shows work, doesn't make me that surprised. Um, because you have to sort of lobby for your movie to get like views without violating the, like, you can't buy off the judges or the voters rule, which they absolutely can, and they do. They just go about it in sneaky ways and make everything like a gift and stuff like that so they can get around it. um but I just don't think these like other movies lobbied as much as some of these films did, and it's just very interesting to see the stuff that won. um and a lot of the controversy around it and stuff like that has been really fascinating. Although I don't watch the actual award shows because why? I just wait for the recap and see who won what. But I was surprised that Nosferatu didn't win as much as it should have. Wicked didn't win as much as it should have. Even though I'm not a particular fan of the movies for Dune, because I don't really care for the casting. I can't agree that Dune is a very well shot, beautiful movie with a great soundtrack, and I'm just surprised that it didn't win more. I love Legend too. Legend is absolutely a banger. I actually did a podcast about Legend on my Patreon because I love that movie so much. There is a director's cut I am still trying to get my hands on, because apparently it adds a bunch more context to the movie, and I have not yet found it. I don't even watch award shows anymore. I mean, that I ever really did, with the exception of the Tonys when I had theater dreams, but especially not now. Yeah, I don't. There's no point in watching them. Um, they're just big productions and big spectacles that I feel like, honestly, ooh, I just pulled that right over the top of the knot. The holes on these little jasper beads are a little bit bigger um, than I am used to, or than I was anticipating. Not used to. They're perfectly normally sized holes. I think this thread is thinner than I'm used to. So I could have. We're too deep into it to change the plan, but I could have done double knots and secured it that way. But it's fine. I just have to not pull it over the knot. That's all I have to do. I have to not knot is basically what I gotta do. But yeah. I just they're big spectacles. They're big things that are just sort of a little bit self-aggrandizing. So I don't really get behind award shows, but I do like to like see the list of who won versus what. and then sort of judge that the same way that like I watch the breakdowns of like who wore what, like the ugliest dresses and stuff, so I can judge them for wearing clothes I would never be able to afford in my like regular daydreams, let alone like in real life. Um, just so I can be like, oh, that was ugly. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's trash. I do the same thing. I look at the list of who won what, and I go, huh, ridiculous. And then I spend some time thinking about it, and then I just look at the other stuff. But like, honestly, for the movies that we had last year, like, I kind of knew that we were in for like a rough Oscar season, um, or pretty rough award season. I didn't think it was going to be this rough, but it is what it is. It's been very interesting. There's been a lot of movies with some controversy around them, and then to hear the celebrities and stuff who are in the movies just be like, "So what? Get over it," is a little bit also interesting. So I'm like, okay, you guys are doing a lot right now for something that didn't do as much as you think it did, and that's fun. What else? I do wish we had some more good fantasy films. I did see that Christopher Nolan is directing the Odyssey, and they've cast Matt Damon as Odysseus, and I have so many feelings about that. I do not like Christopher Nolan. I think I'm in a small category of people who are just not impressed by his films. Um, Mostly because I don't like movies where they tell me the theme and then begin to like bash me over the head with the theme, and I feel like that's really like what Christopher Nolan does. And then I also just hate the response of being like, "Oh, the movie was just okay," and like I wasn't crazy about it. Just for like Christopher Nolan bros to be like, "You didn't understand the deep concepts of the movie." At which point I'm like, "Yes, I did. I actually did, because they told me 70 times while I was sitting there in the theater watching the movie." So I'm a little bit apprehensive at the idea that he's going to do the Odyssey. Um, and like I like I love Greek mythology. I love like just the entirety of the Odyssey, the Iliad, all of that. And I just I like my whole body is clenched at the idea that he's going to do this movie and it's going to be a little bit ridiculous, I feel. I also don't know how many movies it's going to be, if he's just going to try to condense the entirety of the Odyssey into one movie, which is crazy. So much stuff happens. Um, but I did see that the cast was also like super stacked with celebrities. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be an interesting one, and hopefully he's still riding high from his Oppenheimer time, that we get a quality film, and maybe it brings back like a revival of Greek gods and mythology movies and stuff, because I feel like we haven't had a lot of those, and we could use some. Honestly, I would love to go through that like mid 2000s, early 2000s like vampire mythology run that we did. Again, I think it's time. I'd like some fresh versions and some fresh stories and fresh retakes of these like stories and retellings and stuff. But I don't know, because I feel like Christopher Nolan sort of did us dirty in the superhero genre by doing like a grounded, not a grounded, a gritty, grounded, like realistic version of Batman, which was like admittedly pretty decent, especially for the time, but like set the tone for the next 10 years that every superhero movie had to be grounded and gritty and realistic, and then just took like all the magic and sparkle out of it. So it makes me a little bit sad, a little bit nervous to see what's going to happen, because I'm going to be very sad if this is a grounded, gritty, realistic take on Greek mythology and the Odyssey, and then it brings about a whole trend of grounded, gritty mythology movies. It's going to make me very sad. But I'll go. I'll still go see it, because how can I pass up a chance to see the Odyssey? Although I do think the new Snow White movie comes out this month, and I have barely heard anything about it. So I don't know if like uh Disney is trying to like tank their own film or what, but I had to go look up the trailer, because I was like, I don't think I've even seen the trailer for this. And like I looked it up finally and was like, "Oh, okay." And then I haven't seen or heard any marketing for it since. So I'm like, do you not want us to see this? Is that what's happening? Um, but it comes out this month, which like I wouldn't have guessed because they like just have dropped the ball on the marketing for it. They did do a gritty remake of Clash of the Titans with Sam Worthington, and while it's fun in the mindless action category, it is not a good not a good remake of Clash of the Titans for sure. Can you hear the wind, Tony? It is outrageous right now. Oh, so sniffly. It's because it's so windy. Now I have all these allergies that I didn't have when I woke up this morning. But I think the wind is going to be a guest star in a couple of my videos for sure, for for a hot minute until it dies down. Oh, you can't hear it? I feel like it is so loud. Like the wind is in the room with us. Do a little length check. We are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So average wrist size is about 7 inches. So we got a couple more knots to go. It's not windy where you are? Then I live in a wind tunnel, I guess. That is crazy. Oh, there it is. Okay, okay. I was about to be like, have I lost my mind? Because I feel like it's pretty dang windy here. You know what's crazy is I have had the door open all day to let the cats like hang outside on the porch, or my little patio out there, and I was like sitting here getting hotter and hotter and being like, I know that it's not hot outside. Like, what the heck? Then I went to go check my mail, and when I came back in, I was like, man, my living room is so hot. And then I was like, okay, let me open the window. So I opened up the window, um, in my bedroom to see if that would get like a crosswind going through. It did not. The living room did not get any cooler, probably by like 2 degrees, maybe. But I was still hot. But then I went into my bedroom right before this live, and I was like, it is freezing in here. And my cats are all huddled up on the little heating pads they have, and I was like, no wonder you guys have just been sitting in here and not outside, because when it's cold, it's like freezing cold in this room, but also this is where the warm is, so like they've just been sitting in there hunkered down trying to stay warm on the heating pads, and I'm in the living room being like, it's so hot. Let's see. It is a little spooky. On your end, so I co-sign your wind tunnel concern. I might live in a wind tunnel. That's very possible. The way that these apartments are set up is not like intuitive by any means. It would be cool if this like happened when I did like spooky story crafts. That would be cool. But no, it just happens when I'm on a live, just trying to be heard above the sound of the wind. Yes, the ambiance. Ooh, look at what I'm doing. It's completely incorrect, and you guys were gonna let me do it. Oh, I would have been so mad. Not at you guys. It's not your fault. Like how I just blamed you, and it's not even your guys' fault. Um, but the one time I've had to unknot these knots, I wanted to cry. It took a very long time. I'm glad I caught myself. Look, my magpie brain also goes shiny rocks, which is how we got into this problem in the first place. because I switched from shopping for crystals to shopping for beads. And now I got to come up with creative ways to store them so that I can use them without just being like, well, here's a bag and here's a bag and here's a bag. That's how we ended up here. I don't like those ones. It's actually pretty funny. I have such a big bag right now of like beads that need a home. And I keep thinking about like the ways I could do it, and I'm like, okay, you got to use this stuff and not keep adding to this collection. And then I see something and I go, ooh, well that's really pretty. I should pick that up. And then I'm right back at it, stuffing it into the bag of shame now. Um, and being like, well, I will organize this eventually. I could make hanging bookmarks. I was going to do that last week. I actually still have it here on my desk, but I need a different piece. Like this little like it's a leather cord end is the right thing. It's the right finding for these, but I don't have the right size for my ribbon, so like the ribbon is all pinchy. I don't know if you can see that. It's all pinched in there. So I need to get a size that's slightly bigger. Um so that I don't have a pinched ribbon, and then I can make them, which I would love to do because they're actually really fun and easy to make, and I think even my journaly people will like to see how to do that. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost there. Thank you, Tony. And we always put so much work into what? Yep, you're right. A lot of work. It is extremely frustrating to undo, for sure. Um, so I try not to F it up, but your girl does. She really does. And then for this cord in particular, for these kinds of cording products, like to pick them apart, the knots are so small that you have to like, get like a little needle or the ends of these tweezers to pick it apart. And then you end up inevitably fraying the cord and having to start over, which is tragic. So I will say that I kind of like making mistakes in paper more than I do in beading stuff, because in beading stuff, typically if I make a mistake and it's kind of critical, I have to start over. But in the case of like paper craft, if I make a mistake that's critical, I have to get creative to fix it. And usually I'm happier with the results when I flex that little creative muscle in my brain, anyways, than I am when I just like abandon it to start over. So I typically do like having to problem solve in paper, but there's not really much you can do if you fray your cord picking apart knots, because now the cord is no good and you have to start over because it's in the middle of your project. And it's sort of the same thing. Even like stringing up like beading wire, if you kink that beading wire, it is kinked forever. And you have to deal with that or start over. And sometimes you can deal with it and just be like, that's part of the design now. But most of the time, you just got to start over. So I think this does make me have to be a little bit more attentive, which is good. It's nice to be able to have like different modes to like switch your brain to and keep yourself on your toes and keep yourself alert. And then you don't get complacent. This is coming out better than I anticipated. I really like this color combo. The little pops of blue are fun. we used up a bunch of this carnelian too, so that's good. Or I don't even know if this is carnelian, to be honest. I don't remember. I think it's a red agate. Or not red agate, a red jasper. Now that I'm actually looking at it. I think it's a red jasper. And I've just been saying carnelian this entire time. Totally missed what is... Oh, I'm making a knotted bracelet. Kind of like that green one I've been wearing. Except for that one, funnily enough, the end started to fray. So I was like, oh, well, it's nylon. I will just burn the end and it'll seal itself up, which it did, but it burnt right through the rest of it. So I have to do that again because someone was not using her big brain when this was going down. So let's see, I think this is right. Yeah, so that's 7 inches. So we're just going to pop this on. And I probably could have stopped like 2 knots ago and made it exactly 7 inches. It's going to hang a little bit loose on a 7-inch wrist, but it'll work. You'll see, it'll work. Think of a particular episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Jasper. Why is that so familiar? You know, that is the other show that's in my little roundhouse of rewatch right now. I've been rewatching that too, but I paused that to preemptively start Buffy, and then I was like, but what about Criminal Minds? And then now I'm rewatching The Wheel of Time, because I'm consistent. Which one is that? I feel ashamed at myself for not knowing, because I love Are You Afraid of the Dark? The one with the Sutterwind, the one where the girl thinks she has no musical talent, but it turns out all of... Oh, they faded away. All the women in her family have this little pan flute thing to keep a beastie in check. Why don't I remember that? Like, it sounds like I should remember it, but I just cannot recall. Yeah, I don't like, I cannot bring it to mind. There are a few, but for whatever reason, I just cannot like usually if you tell me an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, I have that right in the front of my brain. But for this one time, I cannot bring that to the front. I'll have to look that up when we get off this live. So we're just going to carousel back down until we hit the other knot. Ooh, it's a howling. And honestly, this cord is so thin, I probably didn't need to even add the extra bit. I could have like cut less of this. It's okay. You got a pin for it? I want a pin. I want cool stuff. I feel like that show flies under the radar for a lot of people. Like, if you didn't go home and immediately watch that show after school, you have no idea that it ever existed. So let's see. I'm going to use my tool. Make sure I get a nice grip. Nice tight knot. And then we're going to trim that up. Trim up this side. Let me get a clasp Are you afraid of the dark? I like using these big ones for bracelets because I feel like bracelets are already a little bit fiddly, so it's nice to have one that's a little bit bigger. And now we can turn this loop down there so it's not sticking straight up. Ooh, you know what I did? I did not close this all the way, and now it's stuck. It's okay. We're not gonna panic. Haha. We're just gonna come back and make sure that it's closed. Well, we have the same memory, so we're both old. It's fine. So, I have a little hook here I made with some wire. I'm gonna loop this in here. This is how I put these on, because I am not dexterous. See how I am not full of dexterity. And then we're gonna test this out. I should have tested this before I started trying to put it on. There we go. Bracelet! Ta-da! So it's a little bit loose on me, but I do like this. It's not super loose. I like the colors. Ooh. I needed glue before I started messing with it. That's fine. I will fix it. Not a big deal. So, before I cause more damage, we're just going to hit it with a little bit of glue. A little bit of our super glue here. And work that into our little chain O knots and onto the end. And then once that dries, I'll come back and trim off the little overhang. But I do like to leave a little butt and glue stuff to myself. I do like to leave a little end, just so that there's something for the glue to grab onto and sink into. And then we'll lock in this side too. And like I said, I'll trim that up. It's not a big deal. This one I'll just keep. But I'm not mad about that. But yeah, that's how we make a knotted bracelet. It took me 48 minutes, which is on par for me crafting anything. And we used up a substantial amount of those beads. So I don't think I'm going to be sad, you know, smushing them together with another set and making another spot for more beads to go. All goals have been achieved. Although I thought I would be faster, because I am a little bit faster. I think if I'm not talking, I'm faster at this. So that I'd have time to make two, but I want to keep these at about an hour. So we're at 48 minutes already. What did I do with the extra piece of thread? Ah, this I'll save for junk journaling stuff. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got, you guys. So thanks for hanging in and crafting with me. I really appreciate it. I know it wasn't the most adventurous of nights, but it was a nice chill night, and I think that's something we could do. That's something we need every so often. But yeah, I am gonna get out of here. I just want you guys to know that I appreciate your faces, and I will catch you guys all in the next one. Till then, guys, happy crafting. Bye. Goodbye, Tony. Goodbye, Paige. Goodbye, Mandy. Goodbye, everybody who hung out and said hello. Goodbye.